So it's the 28th of February, it's about 8 a.m. in the morning, and Saturn is about to move into Pisces. So, as a few of you have worked out by now, I'm definitely Saturn's boy. Okay? When you're young, especially under age 29, Saturn is generally a pain in the rectum. Right? Saturn, when young, is seen as the planet of limitation, restriction, frustration, blockage, circumstances outside of your control, holding you back, stopping you from moving forward. It deals with all systems of authority. Saturn is old father time. As you get past 29 and into your mid-30s, there's this first signs of one's attitudes towards Saturn changing. The well-known phenomena of the Saturn return at age 29 years old is often repeated for those people who don't learn their lessons at age 36, 37, when Saturn completes its first square post-Saturn return. And then Saturn reaches the Saturn and a half return at age 43, 44 years old. There is definitely a case for saying that the older we get, the more our attitudes towards Saturn change. And as we get into middle ages, by which I mean 40s, because for most people, by the time you're 44, you're halfway through your life, then we start seeing Saturn so much as external limitations and restrictions, and we start seeing it as living within our own boundaries rather than those imposed upon us by others. We start realizing that actually, who is responsible for our world? I mean, there's one planet, but there's 8 billion different worlds out there, and we are all responsible for our own perception. As we age, we tend to start seeing the metaphorical usage of Saturn as its representation as a planet as not so much limitation and restriction, but more as restructuring, choosing to live within our own boundaries as opposed to those pushed on us by others, and bringing in deliberately words like structure, self-discipline, hard work, loyalty, honesty, and did I mention the hard work? The more hard work you do, the more Saturn likes you. I deal with so many people who say to me, oh, I'm so looking forward to retiring. And then they get to 60 or 65 and they think, okay, I can retire now. I've got the money, let's retire. And then they watch daytime television, and then they play golf. And then they start getting Alzheimer's or dementia. And then they think, no, let's go back to work. Saturn says basically never retire. It doesn't mean you have to go out to work and make money. It means that you have to keep busy. You have to keep disciplined and structured in yourself. Otherwise, what's the point of life? Now, Saturn is about to leave Aquarius and move into Pisces. At a individual level, those people born in the last one day of Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, Taurus, you're really hitting, Saturn's really hitting you right now, but this is only for a week. Saturn will move into Pisces on the 7th of March, the same day as the full moon, so it's endings and new beginnings. And over the coming year, Saturn is going to affect people big time, those people born in the first 7 days of Pisces, Gemini, Virgo and Sagittarius. You're all going to engage with Saturn. Whether it's in terms of feeling restricted and limited, or whether it's in terms of restructuring and bringing clearer, disciplined boundaries into your personal life, well, that's up to you. But at a global level, as Saturn leaves Aquarius, it's a kind of snapshot of a moment of time, which is bringing, viewed over a very long period of time, this is like heading towards some type of end game moment which lies ahead in the temporal dimensions. Saturn is now moving into the final sign of the zodiac. In the same month as Saturn changing sign, Pluto is beginning its transit into Aquarius, which is a 2-year process. So 3 years down the line, Uranus will move into Gemini. 2 to 3 years down the line, Neptune will move into Aries. 2.5 years down the line, Saturn will move into Aries. There is an absolutely humongous lineup, which has never happened before in human history, of all of the 4 outer planets, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune and Pluto, changing sign within a year of each other and moving from feminine into masculine. And this is the biggest period of concentrated and compressed change in human history. But before that, as we move towards the end of all these planets in these outer signs, Saturn moves into the last sign of the zodiac. Pisces is by nature nebulous. It's a deep water sign that rules the oceans. It rules the impermeable depths. You cannot see to the bottom of the ocean. It swirls around in different opaque colours of green, blue, turquoise. So with Saturn moving into Pisces, straight away affairs concerning the environment and the seas will become stronger and stronger over the next couple of years. And I do believe there'll be a much stronger focus on the way we manage our oceans, not our oceans, but the planet's oceans. And certainly the amount of plastic in the ocean will become more and more of a hot topic. But Saturn is also, Pisces is also the nebulous. It is akin to the 12th house being the 12th sign. It is the area of the indiscernible, the vague, the nebulous, the spiritual. It is the area that we can't logicalize and rationalize. It is about dream and imagination. And yet Saturn deals with boundary and structure and discipline and hard work. So on the one hand, it'd be very easy to say, but Saturn moving into Pisces is really going to dissolve all of Saturn's structures and boundaries, and it's going to bring a lot of chaos and disorder into people's lives individually and collectively. Yes, you could say that. I suppose there would be a minor element of truth about it. But if you turn that 180 degrees, then perhaps Saturn is going to bring an element of structure into the imagination. It's going to bring an element of discipline in the way that we create from the formless. A lot of ideas, dreams and visions, which have been permeating over the years, again, individually or collectively, could either just dissipate as they dissolve, Pisces and Neptune like, or they could change from dream, vision and idea into blueprint, schedule and plan. And we can bring structure into almost the invisible. We can create from the imagination. We can bring structure into ideas and dream in a future. 2.5 to 3 years down the line is the biggest time of concentrated change in human history. This next 2 or 3 years with Saturn in Pisces, we've got the opportunity to bring an end to a lot of suffering. I certainly believe that Saturn in Pisces over the coming 2 or 3 years is going to furtherly focus and concentrate our attention towards the influence of organised, controlling religion in our lives. So it's pretty clear that in the next few years, fundamentalism will rise as church attendances go down across the board, as more and more people find their own relationship with the divine and develop their own attitudes towards spirituality and move away from the old men in skirts who tell us what to believe and how to pray and how women should be kept down and all that other nonsense. Then, so those remaining religious people will become ever more fundamentalist. The fewer they are, the more fundamentalist they become. 3 years down the line, this is basically done. Can't wait personally. So Saturn in Pisces, I don't see it as a negative thing. It's going to help us individually put form and structure into some of our ideas. It's going to help a lot of us realise that just because we're thinking differently to what everyone else is supposed to think, that doesn't mean we've got mental health problems. There's far too many labels around these days. We're all competent individuals. We're all responsible for the way we think and feel. And Saturn in Pisces, I think, is going to help us bring structure into our own more nebulous and erratic sides of life. And it's going to help us create new ways of seeing and dealing with the more nebulous and invisible phenomena in the world. It's certainly going to bring a much greater solid approach to spirituality. And even if that's the only thing that Saturn in Pisces will do, that's got to be a good thing. So what's my message for as Saturn moves into Pisces? It is cultivate, organise and structure your own relationship with the divine and with spirit. Have your own chat with God or Buddha or Allah or the universe or whatever you call it. I call it the upstairs department. I think we should welcome Saturn in Pisces. It's the beginning of the end. But the end is not the end that most people see it. It's like being at the remember when you were at school, in primary school, in the first grade? You got given the crayons and the pencils and the paper. It said, go and draw, go and, and you put your pencil in the pencil sharpener and you twisted it to make it sharper. Imagine being on the inside of that pencil sharpener. We're being pushed now towards that hole at the very end, and the tighter it gets, the more, it's like being in the birth canal. We're getting more and more compressed. The pressure's building as we get towards that hole at the end, and then we get through that hole at the very end, boom. We expand into glory, a whole fresh start, a whole new beginning. We'll deal with that one later. That's 25, 26. Let's get through this one first. There you go, folks. That's my take on Saturn and Pisces. Hope that was interesting.